I'll give you one of our cases that has come through. We had a young man, a young chap, he called through. He was only 23, 24, I think, he works for a large retail chain, large supermarket, and he pretty much was at his wit's end, and he'd come through. He'd had a physical assault the week before, and he had been verbally assaulted and physically assaulted the same day that he'd sort of called through. It was actually the day before. And he was pretty much at his wit's end. He said he'd spoken to his manager. He said, I've had a guts full. I'm going to leave. Like, I'm just sick to death of feeling unsafe, feeling unheard. My feelings aren't being validated. A lot of us are experiencing the same sort of work stress, and he said it's like working in a war zone sometimes here. It's just an absolute nightmare, and it's like nobody cares. So he sort of called through and he said, look, I'm going to leave. I need you to help me sort of navigate around sort of, what I should say to my manager and things like that. So one of the support coordinators that he comes through, because we have support coordinators, we have nurses, we have counsellors and things like that, they sort of were speaking to him, and they've just got him to unpack a little bit about sort of what's going on, and he was really, really just so distressed, and they were able to sort of unpack, de-escalate a little bit, and through talking to him and sort of unpacking and sort of finding out what was going on for him, he had some PTSD with some sexual assault that had happened to him sort of 10 years, I think, 10 years prior or something. It was a sexual assault that happened to him when he was a child, and this was triggering for him. So what we did, and it wasn't through the course of this one conversation, this has sort of gone on for a few days and things, to get him some assistance and further support and things, was that, one, he hadn't had a holiday for 2 years. He'd worked in the same place. 2, he didn't feel like he had any validation or support from his manager. So we asked him if we could, with his consent, speak to his manager and just sort of work out some sort of plan we could formulate. He loved his job. He didn't want to leave, but he felt like it was just too unsafe for him to be working there any longer. So spoke to his manager. His manager had no idea that he had, a history of PTSD or anything like this. In fact, didn't realise the seriousness of what had happened with the incident the week before, plus the most recent one. Obviously, he did send him home that day, but was able to get him on 2 weeks leave. We got him some sessions with a psychologist. The manager was working with him as well. And it was just about the manager being very aware of what was going on, not in an intrusive way. You don't need to know everything that's going on with your employees, but it was enough for him to know that he needed certain support in some areas. And this chap had gone on holiday. I think he even rang us back, in a couple of weeks, and said he'd had such a great holiday and things like that. But it was sort of de-escalating. It was sort of reassurance, getting him the help that he needed, and just listening to him and just sort of saying, hey, look, it's okay. We're here to support you. We can help you through this. But this was actually a very good case and a very good outcome. But it just sort of goes to show that, people they do hold a lot of things in, and, there is a boiling point for most people, but it's having the workplace involved in certain situations, not everything. They don't need to know everything about your employees. But this certainly was, one of those sort of good use stories that we enjoy talking about.